Yo, I've seen this story before. They've got this in the bag. It's almost too obvious how this all plays out. I commend the editors. They did their best, but there's no way you can hide someone like Will Sims, the sequel, winning Survivor in the most glorious fashion.
The winner of Survivor, Mike.
Wait, what? I've said this before, but it goes without saying that Survivor is a show largely built on the suspense of the outcome. It's a whodunit mystery taking place on a far-off island where there's only ever one winner amidst a cast of hopeful competitors. And trying to pinpoint that one special player ahead of time is something all of us do and some of us succeed at, but either way, it's the drama and tension and journey getting to that point that makes the entire experience worth our while. I'm a fan of those big reveals in thriller novels and suspense movies where all of a sudden it makes sense. How could you not have seen it sooner? Of course it was the butler, the right-hand man, the person everyone thought was the killer, but that was too obvious, so it couldn't be him, but then it was after all of the empirical evidence said otherwise. I love it. I eat it up. As someone who has unashamedly watched every season of Survivor more than once, sometimes as upwards as 5 times, I gotta say, sometimes Survivor gets me good. Real good. Like Jeff is about to pull the votes out of the urn at the live reunion and I have no idea what's about to go down, and again, I love it. Some of my fondest memories. All that being said, again, record scratch. This video is about none of that. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Peridiam, and this ain't shocking. We're talking about the obvious, the crystal clear. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that Dean obviously isn't a mastermind, that Elaine obviously doesn't have an idol in her bra, that Nora obviously is nothing short of TV gold. Look, sometimes Survivor bamboozles me, but for every time it does, there's at least 2 seasons behind me that it didn't. So let's talk about that. Here are my top 5 most obvious Survivor winners. And you know what? Let's do something not so obvious. Let's break the mold. Here's my number 5 and my number 6.
Last time I played like a cop, look where it got me. This time I'm playing like a criminal, and we'll see where it gets me. My word is not my bond in this game this time.
Because I know this winner will be brought up a lot, so I may as well just point out that she's my number 6. I am talking about Sarah Lacina from Survivor Season 34, Game Changers. Playing the middle never looked so good as when Sarah pulled off a pretty impressive streak of swing vote status throughout the entire post-merge, ultimately culminating in her winning the title of sole survivor in a rather, dare I say, obvious fashion. Yes, she was the cop who played like a criminal, but more than that, she was arguably the best player that season, or at least one of them, and I think her win wasn't so shocking at all. Especially after Brad Culpepper just tanked his status as a decoy in the finale with his treatment of Ty. To me, it was pretty much Sarah or Brad for the entire season since episode 1, and the pendulum mostly swung her way each and every episode. But number 5 is going to be a little bit more old school-ish. It's Earl Cole from Survivor Fiji, or as I like to say, Earl Island. Similar to Game Changers, Survivor Fiji, the first of its name, was somewhat of a two-way race to the finish line between Earl and Yao. Who could round up the most goats to take with them to the end and secure themselves a spot in that final 3? Well, Yao-Man certainly tried his best with that old switcheroo with Dreams in the car, but really, this was Earl's game to lose from episode 1. He was the calm, respectable, big man on campus with a great distraction buddy cop duo in Yao to ride shotgun with him all season. And even though Earl knew next to nothing about the show going in and was actually cast and flown out at the very last minute, go figure, he's one of the best winners in Survivor history, the first unanimous jury vote, almost perfect game, I thought this guy was winning from pretty early in the pre-merge, and yep, if it wasn't Yao, which it wasn't, it was Earl.
I'm pretty proud of myself for making it this far. This is one of the highest peaks of my life because I've challenged myself so much in this game, and I made it all the way through just as planned. I mean, it's a cool experience. You won't know until you do it, till you give up everything in your lifestyle and come here and get in the dirt, in the mud, in the grind, and make it happen. Still be yourself, be strong, see what you're made of.
Number 4. A lot of this video is going to be me bragging and saying, oh, this was so obvious, so just bear with me. I picked this winner from their very first confessional to the camera in the premiere. That doesn't happen very often, but to me, number 4 is probably my actual personal number 2, but I do realize that this player wasn't absolutely the frontrunner at all times. Imagine eating a scorpion on day 1, puking, and getting pegged as the eventual sole survivor. If that ain't blue collar strong, I don't know what is. Yep, number 4 is Mike Holloway from Survivor Worlds Apart with his merry band of Smurfy misfits. I did have him pegged as the winner right out of the gate. And I was damn proud of that. And that was before he became incredibly isolated and target numero uno for almost the entire post-merge. Mike in the pre-merge wasn't super obvious, and I don't think many are going to say it was his blue-collar firewood arguments with Rodney that made it so clear he was taking this season. Despite the fact that I thought he was winning, I would actually say that kind of hurt his chances. And even then, once the Will and Sharon fiasco goes down, he's completely on his own without much hope. Can he actually pull this thing off from the final 9? See, in most seasons of Survivor, when you have a player like Mike who feels like the odds-on favorite from a story perspective, their biggest obstacle is usually other players who pose a threat to beat them in the end. But in Mike's case, his biggest threat wasn't any one person whom he was sitting next to in the end. It was just the reality of him ever getting to the end in the first place. How the heck was this red, white, and blue-blooded American supposed to reach day 39 when it was abundantly clear he was on the bottom and target number 1 each and every episode? Well, he did it the old-fashioned way before scavenger hunts took center stage. He just won immunity, like just about every immunity. The weird thing, however, was that despite the logic of reality providing immense doubt to him winning, it still felt pretty obvious, at least to me, that he was winning regardless of the odds. Nobody else was at his level. They just weren't. They either weren't likable or playing very well or just not fleshed out enough as players. And so, in spite of the overwhelming odds, Mike was winning come hell or high water. And he did. America!
I'm normally the one that is covered the most in oil base, covered the most in mud. Same thing with this game. If you're not getting your hands dirty, then you ain't gonna win. And my hands are gonna be filthy.
Number 3. Seems like a no-brainer, and it kinda is because he needs no introduction. It's the more recent Floridian, also hailing from Massachusetts. It's Boston Rob in Season 22, Survivor Redemption Island. Yeah, I don't think anyone's pushing me too hard with this. So fun fact, Redemption Island was the first time I ever tried to pay attention hardcore to the show to deduce the winner from episode 1. Like, I treated this season as that murder mystery I mentioned earlier, where I knew one of these players was already the winner and it was my job to figure out who it was as early as possible. I was hardcore studying the editing and the storytelling and each and every scene, and pretty much after episode 1, I realized that this well-written epic novel that I was hoping and expecting of this whodunit mystery was, well, not so mysterious after all. I had hoped it would be more abstract and difficult to crack of a season, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. So people might not remember this, but Rob was actually really low-key in the premiere of this season. He doesn't talk all that much. However, what instead happens is so many other people on the season talk about him. They do the talking for him. And then in episode 2, it's just off to the races. I thought maybe Andrea could stand a chance at upending him going into the merge, especially given Matt was coming back for sure. But that merge episode, man, that was a rough day for any Andrea fans out there, or Matt fans. For the entire post-merge, it was a victory march coronation as newbie after newbie tripped over one another to hoist Rob onto his throne. And there he sat.
It was Amber that encouraged me to come back and try again. She believes in me. It's because of her. Like, whatever happens now, I'm okay, even if I don't win. Which is ironic, because the only reason I ever wanted to come back and play again was to win.
Number 2. You know, it's one thing to have a figurative, metaphorical throne, but what if you could have an actual throne on Survivor? Like a makeshift throne built out of like a rock where you give confessionals sniping at the peons back on the beach? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Enter John Cochran. This man on this throne literally wrote a thesis on Survivor, or something like that. Maybe it was just like a creative writing paper. So, of course, when he gets asked back to be a favorite, he's gonna reign from on high amidst the likes likes of Philip Shepard or Brandon Hance or, dare I say, Dogbar Eddie. Yeah, Cochran's my number 2 from season 26 Survivor Caramoan. I thought Cochran was super obvious as the winner, and even though he literally stood out like a sunburnt thumb, to me he was also just like a player who was leaps and bounds ahead of the rest. He was very much that chameleon he claimed to be in the end, who never pressed his foot on the gas too firmly, nor eased up and took it too slow. Cochran was pitched as this ever-present, lighthearted, and fairly likable guy all season, the constant narrator with his wit and wry humor. He claimed in the premiere that we may be seeing a new Dawn with Dawn 2.0, but really it was Cochran's journey to nabbing the million that was bubbling to the surface. I've gone on record saying that I think Cochran is one of the best final tribal performances in Survivor history, and so the moment that he got to that point, it was, well, yeah, it wasn't a contest. It was a slaughter. But hey, as a superfan Ravenclaw nerd, I was happy to see someone so committed to the game finally realize his dream. Even if it was sunburnt like a tomato, painfully obvious since the premiere.
I'm trying to put on a brave face, maybe make some self-deprecating comments around camp, like, oh yeah, I look like a lobster, I look like a freak, haha, it's funny. I'm actually in horrible pain right now, and I feel like crying, kind of, but I'm, trying to stay strong. I mean, my new persona is strong, a little bit of swagger, a little more confidence. I can't be the same freak I was last time.
Number 1, the only winner who I had pegged before the first episode even aired. We're talking preseason press, interviews, the light coverage that I personally don't take to heart because it's kind of like playing a game of roulette. There's really not much to work with. Well, in this person's case, I didn't need much. And that's probably a testament to how good they were. To be the frontrunner going into this season. Your personality really has to shine to be that well regarded with such sparse content. It's the winner of season 24 Survivor One World, Kim Spradlin. You know what I think it was? Watching Kim assign animals to each person that she meets with this big smile on her face really endeared me to her. No, really, she would assess people and then tell us which animal they embodied. I can't say that's my first choice for a superpower, but hey, if it can lend itself towards winning Survivor, more power to you, I will take it. Kim was very obvious all season. I've joked about this before, but that woman loved to talk about her options at each point in the game. She's at the finale, she's getting the check, and she's like, you know what, Probst, I would prefer direct deposit if that's possible. I just need to weigh out my options here. Kim always had options and different paths to take, and it was all about weighing her options to figure out what was best for her. And no matter which path she took, she probably wins regardless. But you know what? I still applaud her for at least making an attempt to appear like these were difficult choices. A buffet of livestock to be led to the slaughter against her in the final tribal. Kim was dominant all season, and as I've said before, unlike with many winners, she was in the driver's seat because her cast loved her so much. Well, except for Troyzan. The most doubt I had for her winning was going into the season, like day one, like what is this woman going to be about? Would she live up to the potential I had built up in my own mind before going into premiere night? Kim had a strong women's alliance, a strong mixed genders alliance due to the swap that she played against each other, and then a bunch of strong side alliances with each of her core members that kept her so well insulated at all points in time. Call her an Olympian at winning this game. Kim was clearer than crystal.
So coming out here and having to make decisions quickly day in and day out and have them work and get to sit here at the end and say, wow, this decision's worked out and it went really well, I've definitely gained some of my confidence back and trusting myself, trusting my discernment, my intuition, and there hasn't been a wrong turn. I'm excited to take this and take it back to my real life.
And so that's my top 5 or 6 most obvious Survivor winners. A year and a half ago, I spoke on my most shocking winners, so I figured, given recent events, the general mood of the online Survivor fan base, I'd circle back and flip that subject on its head. I ask you now, who were the most obvious winners to you? This is all subjective, but for once, we get an entire comment section where we can all brag about how good we are at predicting stuff, regardless of hindsight and free of revisionist history. No matter who you saw take the mill, my name is still Peridiam, saying thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this humble brag of a video. Don't forget to bet big in Vegas after that premiere episode, and I will see you in the next one once I go all in on red.
I keep saying the winner this season will be a female. I'm just waiting for you to take me up on that bet, 2-1.
I'm not crazy. I was born at night, but not last night. You want to make a bet? If he makes it or not? I'll bet you $1.
Okay.
All right?
All right, $1. $1 that he won't make it to the top, and you're saying $1 that he'll do it?
He's gonna do it.